Alright, so this is Quest for the Shaven Yak, starring Ren and Stimpy for the Sega Game Gear. This game came out in 1993, developed by Real Time Associates, and this was an exclusive for the Game Gear. Now, it was actually ported to the Sega Master System in 1995 by Tectoy, and of course that's exclusive to Brazil. A lot of you know the Sega Master System and the Game Gear are essentially the same machine except for one key difference, and I think this game shows off that one key difference. If you know what I'm talking about, we're talking about the color palette. This game is a very colorful game. I mean, even just in this this level title screen here, I mean, I certainly noticed what a colorful game this is. So, game starts off, it's a basic platforming game. As you would expect on the Game Gear, you have two buttons, so you have a jump and an attack. And from what I can tell, Ren here is throwing a toothbrush as his attack. You can pick to play as Ren or Stimpy. At the beginning of each level, unlike the Genesis version, you cannot switch in-game. As you can see, you pick up different items, different weapons, items to recharge your health. Your health is shown in the top left of the screen as, yes, rubber nipples. You start off with 3 rubber nipples. You can get up to 4 by collecting the items to gain hit points. You can see we also pick up weapons like this remote control and the red fire hydrant, which is a checkpoint. Some of the levels have multiple checkpoints, so if you die, that is where you will continue from. The weapons you pick up are nice, but there's one problem, and that is, as you've seen here, one hit and you lose the special weapon. For the most part, the game's pretty easy until you get up to this first boss, and then you realize it's incredibly hard. The problem is that you're going to want to jump as this thing runs towards you, but this thing will jump more often than it just runs at you. So you'll jump, it jumps, you hit in midair, and you get hit. So the key is actually to not jump and just take the hits when he runs at you. So on to the next world, if you will. The game has 4 basic worlds, different environments, with 3 levels within each. Some of the levels within are very similar, very repetitive, and you'll almost think sometimes you're playing the same level over again. But then you get to the next world, or the next environment, and as we can see here, we have a complete change in the graphics. The game's not too hard for the most part, other than the odd thing like, you know, figuring out the cheapness of the bosses. The bosses could have, a better design to them. But like I said, for the most part, it's not too hard of a game. I don't know if I mentioned it, but you have 3 lives as Ren and you have 3 lives as Stimpy. And you can pick every time you start a level or every time you die. So essentially you have 6 lives, and you also get 3 continues. So you do have a lot of tries at the levels. There's also a password system, so of course you can continue on a level you left off on. It's muddy, mud skipper, it's muddy. Mud Skipper, it's the Mud Skipper Show. Once again, if you remember Ren and Stimpy, you probably remember that song you just heard in the background there. And, that brings us down to the end. I mean, it's not a bad Ren and Stimpy game. The graphics are great on the Game Gear. I mean, once again, it just reminds us what the Game Gear was capable of. For a handheld in the early 90s, it really is quite overlooked. Anyways, pretty good game, and I would say if you're a fan of Ren and Stimpy and you have a Game Gear or you like the Game Gear, it's definitely one to check out.